Wonderful. So in the chat, here's what we got going on. We're going to do a blend of shoulder and hip today. Okay. The intention is, as it was before and as it always will be, I want you guys to kind of identify your lowest hanging fruits, so to speak, and then pick a repeatable solution for them. Okay. We will go through the shoulders again, testing internal and external rotation of them. This is a dynamic thing. Your mobility changes depending on X, Y, Z, A, B, C, so many factors. So it's not always going to be better just because you've been working on it. That doesn't mean that it's not actually better. It's kind of like weighing yourself every day. Doesn't mean you're actually gaining weight just because the scale went up a couple pounds from whatever happened the day before. Then we're going to learn how to breathe, just revisiting that same exhale, oblique engagement, inhale. And then we'll go through those 3 positions we've done in the past: Naruto head slam, hook lying hamstring bridge, and a wall supported reach. You guys are just going to figure out which one is most suitable to you. And I encourage you to kind of take that with you throughout the week and use it as often as possible. Okay. With these breath movements, these positional drills that I take you through, you can seriously not overdo them. We're trying to counteract all the time that you spend out of position. So if you are doing these 10 times a day, intermittent throughout the whole day, awesome. You are improving your chances of actually ingraining this muscular use. And you're also bringing yourself to some down regulation, some parasympathetic nervous system, which is really important. If we haven't talked enough about this, we're always sympathetic, always. This in and of itself, just looking at it makes you sympathetic immediately. So we've got to find other ways to get parasympathetic throughout the day. We're going to go through a little bit more movement today as we hit some ankle cars, some toe elevation movements. There's a list there. I'll walk you through them. Okay. But all of these movements are to actually get us to do some kind of moving, working out, whatever you want to call it. These are special or specific to what we've opened up. We're trying to get into the nooks and crannies that we now have access to and start to ingrain some strength around the joint for those new positions. And then we'll finish by getting even more range for the soft tissue in yin yoga. Okay. Okay. Nothing has changed, just like the whole last 2 years. I talked for a good 3 minutes. We're ready for it. Let's do it. All right, so we are going to go through internal and external rotation of the shoulders first. I would love for all of you guys to actually get a position in the camera, not only to where I can see you, but to a perfect kind of like before and after representation. Okay, so some tips. What I want to see here, top down would be best, like so that I can see this back part of your shoulder. Will someone let me know if you can actually see that on me? Can you see where my shoulders are? Thank you. Okay, awesome. So from here, the internal rotation, we're gonna just do one at a time so you don't overthink it and get confused. We're gonna go straight legs. You're just gonna slowly come down towards the hip, making sure that this stays at a 90 degrees, so you're not deviating out or in. You're also not letting the elbow move down, so it stays fixed at shoulder height, right off the side of you. As you come down, some of you will have to really pay attention to this shoulder staying against the ground and not popping up, okay? You'll move and then subtly it'll wanna pop up. That's really where you're limited, that's your end range. So even if you could force it down, it's not a real test, okay? And then the external rotation would be the other way. Same deal, a lot of us will find that we're able to manage more. Just respect what your natural limitations. Okay, so back of the shoulder coming off the ground is limitation. And then of course, just like a stopping sensation in your body is of course gonna be a limitation. Thank you. You guys are all setting this up beautifully. Awesome. Okay, so let's all, for the sake of congruity. Oh no, Chris, sorry. We're all gonna start on the right arm. Spill the plant, soil everywhere, soiled the bed. Okay, on the ground here, very slowly gonna go into internal rotation on the right arm only, okay? If you guys need to bias that for the camera to move to the right, that's fine. Everyone looks good, just stay where you're at. Slowly moving down to that internal rotation. Go ahead and find where you're at, okay? Be honest with yourselves. Make sure the shoulder's not coming off the ground. Make sure that there is no effort. Nothing is muscularly driven. Natalie, I'm gonna watch you. Go ahead from the beginning, go slowly. Let's start over. Okay, Natalie, you're done there. Start there, done. It's already up. So pay attention to the back of the shoulder head. Make sure it's really relaxed. And I almost want you to, before you rotate, just do a little like shoulder pop off the ground and then dig it down into the floor again. Notice that movement. Very slow. See how it's lifting? Cool. So anyone new going through these tests, and of course all of you live with me, be respectful of where your body's at for today. It does not mean anything about you. It's just giving you information. It's just data, okay? So it's always innate for us to just be like, we can do more, we can do better. It's okay. Respect where you're truly at, okay? So Natalie, for example, not to pick on you, but to pick on you, she's got like 2 degrees of motion before it stops. And she can totally get knuckle like down to, the body, but it's not true. All right, cool. Chris, you're starting to pop up there. Anything that feels, go slow, really slow. Anything that feels like it's not just a easy, perfect, natural fall. Jeff, I'm impressed. That right side looks really good. Yep, anything that feels like it's kicking on muscles. All right, beautiful. I have the visual for all of you, but make sure you understand where you're at. And then let's move to the left side. Very slowly, you're gonna do the left arm. Pay attention to sensational differences. And then of course, pay attention to the actual degree, range of motion difference. Got some crazy music going on. It's all crazy today. I'm just gonna have to change the playlist. All right, beautiful. We're slowly moving. Any of you guys at home, I want you to make sure that you are paying attention to differences side to side. If you got one side that's much worse, note that, write it down. Keep this information for yourselves, okay? All right, anyone live with me now, notice a drastic difference side to side, whether it's sensationally or actual range of motion?
Yes.
Chris, which side is worse? Which side is better?
The right side is worse.
The right side is worse. Okay.
It feels worse and I can't go as far.
Beautiful, okay? Good to know. Jeff, you said something?
My left side was worse.
Okay, awesome. Left side didn't go down as much, right?
It's actually pretty substantial.
All right, awesome. We're not doing any side to side specificity today with these breathing drills. We're gonna do general area opening. So like rib cage opening and hip opening instead of left side versus right side, just to keep things simple. But both of you guys should notice an improvement somewhere as we go through this. It may even just be the side that's worse, okay? All right, just for anyone watching on recording, we're gonna go through the breathing really quickly, just to remind us there's no, reason we shouldn't get even better at this. Please remember where your numbers were, okay? And let's just, let's go for our first round of breath. Totally relax because we're gonna move up into different positions. Just on your back, feet planted or straight, whatever, it doesn't matter, just get comfortable, okay? You don't need to look, I'll guide you through this. So whatever comfortable position you're in, you're gonna take your hands, you're gonna place them kind of right beneath the rib cage on the sides of your belly, on the sides of your body, so that your palms are on your oblique muscles, your side abs, and your fingertips, finger tops, are on your six-pack Lego muscles, okay? All right, Legos, six-pack. Those abs are off, relaxed, soft. Let it be as loose as possible. When you go through your exhale, you're going to imagine you have a little mirror in front of your mouth and you're going to fog the mirror very slowly, long exhale. You're shooting for like 10 seconds, but don't try to dump everything out and make yourself work hard here. Just natural, soft fogging of the mirror. When you get to the end of that breath, if you need to breathe in, go ahead. I'm gonna still guide you through this. When you get to the end of that breath, you should feel your obliques kick on. Your side ab muscles should fire. Your six-pack muscles, the front of your stomach should be soft. Okay, so hard on the sides, soft on top. When you're ready to inhale, close your mouth, tongue on the roof of your mouth, inhale through the nose. Again, very slowly, very relaxed. We've got some new members in house that are pretty athletic. Guys, don't be athletes in this, please. Be as relaxed as possible. Exhale audibly, fogging the mirror. Feel that internal oblique kick on. Tongue on the roof of the mouth, close the mouth. Slow inhale through the nose. Feel those obliques staying on. And if you're having trouble dissociating the side abs from the Lego muscles, that is your number one priority right now. You stay here as long as you need to figure out how to get your six-pack soft and relaxed while engaging your inner obliques. Is the most important part of this whole thing. All right, if you're at home on recording, you're gonna practice that until you figure it out. For the rest of us, you can pause whatever else. It is imperative you figure that out. For the rest of us, let's go ahead and come on up. And we're gonna go through our first positional drill, which is the Naruto head slam, okay? You're gonna need a foam roller. It's not imperative, but it helps. If you want a pillow, that works. And if you don't have anything, that's also fine, but you're gonna want it if you have it, okay? Foam roller is just gonna go between the thighs. It's really just gonna put us into a good position for our stance. I'm gonna show you this from two angles, from my head on this wall and then my head on this wall. All we're doing here is going to essentially a deadlift hinge position and resting our head on the wall. The head resting on the wall is to quite literally support your head, your heavy head, so your neck muscles can turn off and relax, okay? So I'm hinging, placing my head on the wall, and then I'm just getting into a good flat-ish back position. Nothing is working too hard. The deepness of the hinge is not really that important, just kind of somewhere 45 to 90 degrees, okay? From here, you're gonna take your palms facing back, facing your legs, and then reach them up so that palms are facing the ceiling on the sides of your body, okay? Once you've got your natural limitation in your reach here, then you're gonna go through that same breathing where you audibly open the mouth, exhale, get your side abs on, and then close the mouth. Inhale slowly through the nose, okay? We're thinking long, slow, controlled breathing here. It is exactly the same as it was on the floor. You're just in a different position. And you should notice that through your inhales, you can actually reach your hands further up towards the ceiling. Again, nothing is too stressed out. Nothing is too muscularly driven. Natalie, see how high you can reach your hands? Everyone should be at the hips or higher, okay? No cheating with the shoulders, just let them naturally come up as you feel the tension being relieved around the shoulders. 3 to 5 full breath cycles. If you're hinged too deep and you feel like you're working hard here, please come up out of the hinge a little less. You can bend your knees a little bit. We're finding that soft six-pack, that hard side ab. You guys look good. But every inhale, I want you seeing, can I reach my hands higher? Some of you guys should be able to reach your hands a full 6 inches higher. Chris, how high can you reach those palms up behind you? Good. Take in your breath. If you're breathing right, those hands are gonna go up no matter who you are. Tongue on the roof of the mouth, big expansion throughout the torso. Audible exhale to fog the mirror. 3 to 5 full breath cycles, then we're back on the ground to retest our internal rotation on both sides. We didn't get an external rotation test. Oops, that's all right. We'll just focus on one at a time today. Let's go for that internal rotation test again for the sake of congruity. Is that right? It sounds weird. We're gonna start on that right side again. Very slowly moving down. Please try to replicate the same camera angle, the same position, the same lighting if you can. That makes a huge difference for us visually. Right side first. For those of us that had good range of motion, remember that sensational difference is a win. If you made it sensationally feel easier or better, less restricted, that's good. If you got more range of motion, that's great. Once you figured out the right side, let's go to the left side.
Holy shit.
Chris?
It literally, like they're basically pretty much equal again, and the right side feels better.
Beautiful.
I don't feel like I'm doing anything, but it does work.
You're not. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yes.
I love it. So just to explain this to you guys, your brain speaks to your muscles, right? Your muscles speak to your brain. We've got joint positions. We've got all this tension. We've got all this stuff going on. When you get into these positions, what we're asking you to do is to engage inner obliques, right? To set the spine through some sort of stability. And this is opposite of what is normally getting us stable. This is a terrible explanation, but essentially what we're doing is kicking on the right muscles and letting the overactive muscles chill out and putting ourselves back into the right position for the joint. Once the joint's back in the right position and you're in a calm nervous system state, which is what we're doing through this long, slow, relaxed breathing, then your body actually has more movement ability in that time frame. Make sense?
I'm a believer that.
I mean, it's objective. It's amazing. Okay, great. Natalie, did you get anything better? I didn't see you. Okay, good. Great. Jeff, did you get better on the left?
Yes, substantially.
Amazing.
All right. They were about equal.
Cool. Your right side looked awesome. I don't think your left was as good as your right from my visual.
It wasn't, but
Okay.
It's actually kind of funny because my right is the one that's like the one that like feels weaker and like hurts a little bit. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. It has more range.
It's always funky to try to be like this or that. There's a little bit of chicken or the egg happening with the body always. What I mean by that specifically is like one side might feel stiff and strong, and it's overworked because it's always the one doing the work, and that's also why it's stiff. And another experience would be this side feels stiff but weak because it's trying to protect me and it knows it doesn't have capacity, so it's tightening up, but it's not strong, right? Same kind of sensation, but totally different things. And then there's kind of like the back and forth of this side has to do all the things because this side can't do shit. And then this side is angry, so this side's in pain, or this side's doing all the things, but this side's in pain because it's not capable of any of the things. So we just try to make the movement ability more equal, and then it all kind of works itself out. Cool. Dana, did you get better? Yeah.
Mostly sensationally. I think my left was a little bit worse than my right, and a little bit better.
Amazing. Good. Yeah, respect you too. Okay, awesome. All right, beautiful. So we've already done some down regulation. So just letting you know, I mean, you guys believe me at this point, your active straight leg raise is going to be better than it normally would just because we've gone through the breathing, like literally just because you've got yourself relaxed. But now let's actually put it into the right positional drill, which is going to be that hook lying hamstring bridge. We did this last week. It is my favorite one because it pretty much works for everybody. Okay. So yeah, Dana loves this one. So first, let's get our measurements. Okay. I'm actually going to ask to look at two things from you. We'll just do one for sake of time. Let's do one. Let's get a sideways view. So how you want to set up, if you're limited in your spacing, I don't need to see all of you, but what I do need to see are your feet and then up to your, pretty much your belly button. I want to see this kind of lower midsection portion of you. I don't care about the rest of you, okay? If it's not possible to put your whole self in the frame. You're getting your feet straight up to the sky, toes are pointed up. We're not super active, nothing muscularly driven. We're just testing natural ability here. And I just want to see arms wherever relaxed by your sides. I want to see where you start, and then I want to see you straighten one leg and very slowly start to come up. Remember, there's a couple things we're looking for. If this bottom leg rolls out, okay, you guys see that? My right leg rolls out, the test is over. If this bottom leg kind of comes off the ground, the hamstrings lift up, the test is over. If this top leg wants to go way off to the side, I'm just showing you way off the side. It's actually just going to be a subtle like left movement. Or if your pelvis, this is a big one for you guys to note, feels like it's rolling over, like your whole pelvis is turning left or right. Keep in mind, I'm being super dramatic so you can see visually what I'm talking about. It's going to be subtle, okay? You're going to have to be very aware of these things. But essentially, those are all the cheats. And then when we get up here, we'll get into the most common cheat, which is this low back area. We'll just kind of crunch into the floor, right? You'll do 6-pack on, you'll crunch and you'll tilt your pelvis into posterior tilt. And that's also a cheat. So just very slowly start to come up, see where you're naturally limited. It's probably kind of a less is more test. Nice, Natalie. Very slowly coming up. Pause, Natalie. That's too far. You feel the other side coming off the floor. So slowly, Natalie, I'm gonna watch you. I'm gonna tell you when to stop. Stop. Okay. All right, so Natalie, hold that there for a second. That looks like about 50 degrees. However, your other leg is already off the ground if it started off the ground. So go down about 10. That's like really where you are. Yeah, and don't fire up that right side. Okay, cool. And then go ahead, relax, coming back down. Let's see, who else can I watch right now? Natalie, you can try your other side. So Dana, that's a good test for you. I can see light under your right side the whole time. So that gives us an indication that you're already starting forward. So already in a little bit of the anterior tilt. Guys, remember, I'm not picking you apart to be rude. I'm just trying to give you my clear, objective observations as you move. Chris, honestly, it's going to be really hard for me to tell.
I know. My camera
with the camera.
Terrible. I have no space.
Okay, that's okay. Just pay attention to what you're feeling. I mean, I totally trust your sensational analysis here. Jeff, we'll take a look at you. Yeah, you're being pretty honest with that. That's good. Jeff, your rib cage is looking a lot better positionally than last week. I guess that's also because we already did some breathing for the upper body. Okay, that checks out. All right, beautiful. Also, it's a good time to mention, I'm not really ever looking for you guys to have like perfect measurements, right? It doesn't matter. It's just, these are good ways for us to understand where you can improve, where you can easily improve relative motion and joint positions, because that has a profound effect on everything else you do, like literally everything else you do. All the exercising you do, all the movements you make, walking, sitting, etc. It's all gonna be improved. Sitting's gonna be improved by you being in a better position. So just don't, if I'm making you feel like your mobility right now is shit, it's okay, I promise. It's not that bad, it's not a problem. All right, beautiful. Everyone's kind of understands where their test is. We're gonna go through the hook line, okay? So plant your feet in a nice comfortable bridge position. If you can, a foam roller will help for most of us. If you don't have it, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's not gonna make a huge difference. So we are comfortably positioned here to get the entirety of the foot on the floor. So I can feel the ball of my big toe and the ball of my pinky toe. I can feel my heels, all right? Once I've done this, the first thing that we need to do is just a subtle, energetic dragging of the heels towards the butt towards the heels. If you're looking at the camera right now, you can see me subtly get closer. I'm not actually moving anything. I'm just kind of squeezing, pushing into the floor, pulling back. But when you do this, pay attention to your pelvis. If you're all in a neutral pelvis to begin, your low back actually should be off of the ground. There should be a natural, subtle arch. And then when you pull closer, you want your hips to posteriorly tilt, which is grandpa butt, hiding your tail between your legs. You should feel your hamstrings. Some of us are neurologically connected the other way. And when you pull, you'll go into more sexy butt, arched back. Make sure you fix that and figure that out first. Once you have that posterior tilt, you got to make sure that those six-pack muscles are off again. Okay, a lot of us will go, especially us like more heavy lifters that have been in the gym for many years, we'll turn on our six-pack muscles. You got to make sure those things are off and soft. We're going back, off and soft. We're going back to the breathing that we had in the beginning. I'm going to come up and just take note of you guys, make sure that we're doing the right things. And you guys can go through that breath for 3 to 5 rounds. More is better. Taking your time. Very nice. So we got to make sure a couple of things. We're kind of pulled into that posterior tilt. We feel the hamstrings, okay? If you feel hamstrings closer to your butt, that's better. If you feel hamstrings closer to your calf and your knee, let's try to move things and get more towards the glute area, okay? We are super relaxed. The only effort that we're really making is mental effort. Abs are soft on the top. Obliques are engaged as we go through that. Fogging the exhale. Fogging on the exhale. Okay, once we've kind of mastered this, we feel like, yep, I totally have all those things he's talking about. Then we can start to imagine just peeling the tailbone up and off the floor a little bit. So we're actually just barely lifting. But when you do this, check your six pack. It has to stay soft. All of us will have a pretty easy time just engaging our six pack muscles, turning our stomach muscles on, versus getting that tilt and that lift through our hamstrings. And it should be tiny, it should be subtle. So if you're lifting up like a glute bridge, you're doing too much. Be honest with yourself. Make sure it's hammies. Make sure you have a full foot in contact with the floor. And you are breathing easy, down regulating the system. Chris, I can't see your butt, however, that's okay, I'm not asking you to move anything. I can see your ribs up. So it's telling me I think that you're not quite in that posterior tilt as much as we'd like to be. Okay, now make sure you turn your six pack muscles off. So make that happen because your hamstrings are pulling your pelvis into that position. Don't be afraid to touch your own belly, friends. That feedback is huge. Right? Hands on the belly, you'll be able to tell what's on, what's off a little bit better. 3 to 5 full breath cycles. If you feel like, all right, cool, I did some work, I did some damage in a good way. Let's put the legs back down and let's retest. Remember, sensational differences are a win. Obviously, range of motion degrees changed is a huge win as well. Nice, Dana. Good, Natalie. So just on the way up, going slow. Got some adjustments there. Good. And then let me know if you got a change left or right, both sides. How are we doing?
I'd say that one was less dramatic for me.
Okay.
I also have like the tightest hamstrings ever. So.
Well, you have to remember, we started our initial test after we had already done some breathing. So if we had tested that before we did the first rounds of breathing, it would have been probably worse and then better, respectively. Who else?
Yeah, it was mainly sensationally for me.
Okay, good. Anything, Dana? I think I heard you get a full adjustment, unless your volume's off.
I just turned it back on, maybe. But yeah, I mean, I think that's my most significant one. But I feel it
Cool.
on it even just when I like, after we do the breathing, when I like just lay full out,
Laying
like,
down.
it feels completely different.
Good, good. Natalie, sensationally better.
Sensationally better. And so on the left, when I lift the right, it comes like when I lift, it comes from my hip. I don't know how to explain that. And after the breathing, I didn't feel it in my hip anymore. I felt it coming from my quads, like lifting up.
Oh, when you feel it from your hip, where?
Like on my hip, like for me to lift up, I have to actually use my hip to get my leg up. I don't know how to explain that, but when
So if the right leg is going up,
yeah,
you don't feel it here in the quad. You
I
feel
did
it
in the beginning, but afterwards I did. I didn't
somewhere
feel it in
here.
the hip the second time. Yeah.
Where would you say the hip is? I'm just curious because like this is all hip.
So like right here. what
Okay,
we're doing
TFL.
there.
Okay, awesome. That makes sense. Cool. Okay, beautiful. I won't go into a long thing about this, but in general, we're asymmetrical inside, every single one of us, right? And like crura, things that attach deep in here for our heart and our lungs and all this stuff, it's asymmetrical. And so pretty much all of us, to some degree, have a tendency and a natural kind of shaping in our life of this tightening up and coming forward and this tightening up and coming forward. So many of us are quite literally rotated forward on the left and back on the right. So our hips are like, whoop, this, and then our shoulders compensate the other direction and they come down like this. And so as crazy as this seems, I don't know if you guys can see me clearly, if we're like standing straight, many of us live a little bit more like this, and then our heads are turned. And so we even ourselves out and we walk like this. Okay, I'm showing you in a freaking crazy dramatic way, but it's like tension, tightness here, tension, tightness here, and then it messes everything up, right? Then we've got infrasternal angle. Oh, this is getting super long-winded. I'm sorry. I just want to teach you guys this. We've got basically the shape of our rib cage. And as children, we develop breathing patterns and it shapes it either narrow or wide. Okay. Wide people are good at like powerlifting. They're strong, boom, brute force. Narrow people are good at like endurance, breathing, right? And it's just basically where our rib cage likes to cheat. And then from there, we have compensation patterns of breathing. So some of us are first primary cheaters. Some of us are secondary cheaters. And some of us are third tertiary cheaters. And I'll tell you, most personal trainers are the most messed up and tertiary, and most like average people who don't really work out that much don't have that many problems because they're not trying to find cheats to make cool things happen, like lifting 500 pounds. Does that make sense? So anyway, what we're all trying to do is get back to some sort of baseline so that our patterns aren't causing problems. Because you can imagine if I'm like really tightening up like this, then everything's going to be jacked up. So we try to open it up and try to come back. And I'm sorry for blabbing so much, but I'm telling you this because these exercises, I'm just like, here's stuff for people. However, Jeff might be a wide, Chris might be a narrow, like they're not going to be exactly the same, right? You're going to have different needs for different things. Makes sense? Okay, I'll stop talking. Okay, our last one is going to be the wall supported reach, okay? We are going to get close to the wall. This one is more for the upper body, and I'll show you in two positions here. My feet are about a foot away from the wall, kind of like I'm going to do those tibialis raises that I've had you guys do so much of. You're going to tuck your pelvis a little bit. You're going to bring your ribs down so your low back is touching the wall. And then you're going to reach at somewhere around a 45-ish degree angle, palms facing up, okay? When you reach, I want you reaching forward at that angle, but not so hard that it's muscular. So just reach naturally. You're going to go through the breath. Get the obliques on. As you inhale, you're going to peel yourself slightly further off of the wall, keeping your low back in contact with the wall. So it's just, I'm going to be super dramatic so you guys can see this for a second. You're peeling yourself down further, but keeping your low back attached to the wall, okay? As you're doing this, all that rounded upper back should feel like it's expanding, like you're bringing air into that area, okay? Okay, let's try it. So back on the wall, let's make sure we're not too far away, probably like 6 inches to a foot away from the wall. Okay, you can get a subtle bend in the knees, okay? And then this little posterior tilt, so we're just rounding out, just the low back is on the wall. Good, palms facing up, reach out to about 45-ish degrees at an angle, okay? Chris, bend your knees a little less. Natalie, let's go a little straighter with your legs as well. You can move further away from that. That's good, actually. Yep, cool. And then you're gonna go through the breath. Inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth, fog in the mirror, and reaching those hands to pull your upper back off the wall to get expansion there. So look, friends, we're looking for a rounding. We're looking for this like old man rounded hunchback position. So keep reaching your hands forward. Bring your upper back off of the wall. Shoulder blades should get to the point where they're fully off of the wall. Jeff, that looks awesome. Keep reaching. Chris, keep reaching and rounding your upper back. So continuously reach those fingertips towards your bed, exactly at that angle, forward, peeling your back off of the wall. On your inhales through the nose, that whole upper back should feel like it's getting huge expansion. Exhale, get those obliques. Inhale, reaching. Huge expansion. Breath should literally feel like it's coming up into the upper back and separating your shoulders. That's what we're searching for anyway. 3 to 5 full breath cycles. If you can't quite figure it out, take your time. Please don't rush this. We're going to do it only once. Big inhale, slow. Big exhale, slow. Take your time. I would actually encourage some of you to hold for a second on your exhale before you inhale. Do your best to keep your hands fully supinated, so fully open, palms to the ceiling as best you can, straight forward. Okay, awesome. We didn't go through our external rotation test, but just for curiosity's sake, let's just retest that internal one more time. Internal rotation of the shoulders. That is providing us with expansion in the upper back. As I was saying, you should feel that. Literally, you should feel that one. Many of us actually feel that one the most as far as like opening. Wow, I can actually feel it as I'm going through the movement. This should help with your external and internal, different for each person, depending on where you're holding your tension, etc. So go ahead, just quick test, internal, external. Remember, we've already done some stuff to open that up. So if it's not life-changing, don't be surprised. I won't be. One at a time, coming forward. Nice, Jeff. That's starting to pop up in the beginning there. Good. All right. Anyone got any different there? We're feeling pretty good. Cool. All right. Just since we're down here, stay for a sec. Let's text that external rotation. So you're going to do the same thing, but instead of knuckles going down towards your hips, you're going to go up above your head. Keep the exact same sort of integrity, back of the shoulder on the floor, no lifting, no forcing. Elbow stays where it is. Wrist, forearm and upper arm stay at that 90-degree angle. If you can get the back of the wrist all the way to the floor, no problem, without forcing it, and without the shoulder coming up, then that's like as good as you can do. That's a full pass. Let's see if we can do it on both sides. Chris, make sure that that left elbow is up a little higher, so it's in line with your left shoulder. Yep, and then make sure you already feel from the very beginning the back of the shoulder on the floor. Does anyone have super limited external rotation here? Sorry, I've been kind of gazing around at all of you. Does anyone feel like they can't get to the floor at all on either side or one side more than the other? Okay. Yeah, Dana, yours was looking like full pass. Chris, how are we doing?
Right to the floor.
On both sides?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Jeff, left side more than the right, right side more than the left? Natalie, how about you? Both of them made it, no problem? Cool. Jeff?
The right side was like a quarter inch away from making it, and then the left side went all the way down.
Okay, cool. That makes sense. All right, awesome. So this also feeds into like creating a story of what kind of patterns you've got going on. Sometimes we've got a lift in the rib cage on one side more than the other, and that gives us a fake pass on the external rotation because you're already arched up, kind of like the hips in the beginning. Anyway. Okay, so we're gonna go through Ankle and tibial cars. We've done this many times before. All we're doing is just kind of playing within this range of motion. Then we're going for a toe floated elevated dorsiflexion, a knee over toe split squat. I'm excited to do this with you guys because I've asked you to do this in your programming, and this should offer you a lot of help. Just me getting eyes on you, helping you with this movement. We'll do inchworm with reach. This is a breath movement, so it's not to be sped through. Right into 5 cycles, 3 to 5 cycles, depending on what you can handle, in a beast position. And then we're gonna do 3 of a deep, slow zombie get up tempo, okay? Should be better than normal because we've got your hips in a better position than normal. All right, so ankle and tibial cars. Let's start with this guy. What you're gonna do is have a seat comfortably. We're gonna get into this kind of headlock position for your thigh. Okay, so for the sake of congruity, said this so many times today, I don't even know if it's a real word. You're gonna take your right arm and you're gonna loop it underneath your right leg. So you're holding your leg up off the ground with your right arm, with your right forearm, okay? That right hand, that right palm is going to go right into the left elbow or bicep, okay? Then that left hand is gonna go on top of your knee. So now you're in this like chokehold for your leg, okay? If you followed along and you know your left and right, so you should be in a perfect position. Cool. From what I can see, you guys all look pretty good. So we're kind of locked in. Your left hand on your right knee, you should feel that tibial plateau, that bone underneath your kneecap, okay, where your lower leg turns into your knee. And from there, you're just gonna keep that sucker in place and take your toes, your whole ankle, and just go left as far as you can, right as far as you can, left and right as far as you can. You're gonna move that whole ankle, that whole tibia, the lower leg, as far as you can, left as far as you can, right. 5 full times. And because you're blocked in, you can actually kind of try to cheat. You're not gonna move any of the upper leg because of this hold. And if you can think about shifting your heel to the left as your toes go to the right, and your heel to the right as your toes go to the left, that might offer you even more range of motion. Okay. Once you guys have done this 5 times, you're gonna do 5 slow circles, as wide, controlled, and slow as you can in each direction. So I'm imagining that my big toe is a paintbrush, and I am actually painting something. So I'm really trying to be careful about the circle I'm creating. It should be beautiful, perfect circle, and as big of a circle as possible without moving the whole leg. Okay, so just the ankle. 5 times in one direction clockwise, 5 times in another direction counterclockwise. If you're now feeling like muscles burning, especially on the outside of the lower leg, you're doing a great job. You need muscular engagement now. If you want to spread the toes and get tension through the foot as well, that's great. Yeah, you guys look good here. Awesome. We're trying to fire as many of those muscles in the lower leg as possible. It's very seldom that we get into those nooks and crannies. So this is training now. Do your best. Chris is making his classic Chris face. We are doing a good job. Nice. Beautiful. We'll go to the other side. Same thing. Okay, I'll walk you through. So left arm is going to go underneath your left leg. And then it's going to, left hand is going to go into that right bicep. Right hand on the left knee. So you're just choke hold for the thigh. Side to side 5 times as much as you can. Slowly, thinking heel one direction, toe the other. Then we'll go for 5 clockwise circles, counterclockwise circles. Please slow way, way down. Okay, I'm gonna grab some things for demoing the next movement. Go as slow as possible, friends. As slow as you can. Good, so if you're getting some muscles burning, some lines up the side of the ankle and lower leg, we're doing a great job. Just trying to fire as much as we can through there without cheating from the hip. Slowly drawing those big circles. Beautiful. Okay, awesome job. Once you've done all of those, 5, 5, 5 on each side, let's come up. We're gonna go into toe float elevated dorsiflexion. Dorsiflexion is the ankle coming up, basically, right? This movement here is dorsiflexion. We need it for basically every movement, and the better it is, the better we move in every movement. One thing that we really need for that dorsiflexion, or two things that we really need, is foot pronation, so the ability for that arch to actually come down and then supinate again, so collapse and then arch. That movement back and forth is necessary, as well as intonal rotation of this whole thing. So this lower leg has to spin in as this upper leg comes out, okay? How this actually translates for you guys is that knee over toe split squat is amazing for this, and this toe elevated, or this toe float, excuse me, movement that we're about to do is amazing for the pronation supination, for the foot movement, okay? So you need a couple books. It's okay if it's only like an inch off the ground. It's also okay if it's like 7 inches off the ground. But what we really need is a full stable surface for our entire foot except for our toes. So when I get on this, my toes are floating off the edge. However, I do have the ball of my pinky toe and the ball of my big toe on the books, okay? From here, I'm gonna stand in a sort of close split stance. I'm gonna find my balance. Okay, can everyone see me okay there? Yeah, I'll make sure you guys are doing this right. I'll come and watch you. Once I have that position, I'm gonna get myself in a good balanced position with my back leg, and I'm gonna kind of keep all of my weight on this book leg, or most of it. I'm gonna hinge my torso forward just a little bit, and all I'm doing here is going forward and backward with the knee. Knee over toe, coming back. Knee over toe, coming back. And my toes aren't doing anything because they're floating. And as I go through a couple of these, even just 5 of these, I start to feel my glute burning. And that's good. That's what we want. We've done this before. So anyone new, we're looking for some glute burn, and we're just trying to make the toes not involved. Good. Depending on where we're at, some of us will have trouble keeping the ball of the big toe down, and that's the focus. Okay, so not the toe itself, not the big toe itself, but the ball of the big toe against the edge of that book. And then we're just kind of grooving through that forward backward motion, prioritizing the knee moving over the toes. Good. Jeff, you're straight on, so I can't quite tell, but think about your knee and your lower leg moving forward as much as you can. Thank you. That works. Good. And just everyone's searching for a little glute burn here and thinking about, can I get that kind of collapsed arch and that creation of an arch just naturally by doing this flossing forward and backward. Once you have established a little bit of a glute burn, let's move to the other side and let's do the same thing. Push down on the ball of the big toe, get a little glute burn going on for about 12-ish repetitions. Torso is leaning forward and we're just getting this subtle knee driving over toe, back and forth. I'm weighted throughout the entirety of the foot, minus the toes. And I'm really looking for my glute. If you guys do this a bunch and you're not getting your glute, you gotta make some positional adjustments, because if you're not getting the glute, then we're not getting the full advantage of this movement. As I'm going through this, make sure, one thing that helps is really thinking about the actual knee moving over the toe more than just your body weight shifting, right? So really think about actually bending your knee more, keeping your weight on that elevated leg.
Should other things besides my glutes be burning?
Yeah, like your quads are probably burning. Okay. What else is burning?
What's up?
A little bit of hamstring.
I can. I'm just finishing up my workout.
Okay, that's fine. Little hamstring is okay. I muted Jeff, sorry. Cool. All right, friends. We're gonna rush through the next few, not rush, but move on to the next few. So this is a great drill to practice when you can, when it's in programming. When we move into the next movement, This is actually something I've really wanted to discuss with all of you, as it's extremely different for each person and really important to understand fully, okay? I have programmed knee over toe split squats for pretty much everyone and will continue to, and there will be different variations. The most important thing in the knee over toe split squat is we're trying to get better ankle dorsiflexion and knee flexion. So we're basically trying to get the ankle coming up towards the shin better, and then the knee closing, getting closer to the hamstring better, okay? Everyone's gonna be limited in a lot of things here. So with that said, we can come all the way up to an object as high as this and treat this, you know, like as if this were a bench or something, and treat this as just a positional thing instead of like a full split squat exercise, where obviously, like, look how freaking high I am. This is totally different than me being on the ground. But I'm going to prioritize that knee bend I was talking about and the ankle thing I was talking about by getting as close to hamstring and calf as possible. And then if I'm limited by my ankle, I'm gonna get my hamstring and calf even closer by just letting my heel come up. Now do you see I have this straight line from back hip to front hip? And if you just think about my thigh bones, they're like in full splits, basically. You see that? Doesn't feel like full splits by any means, but that's the position I'm after, okay? If I can get my ankle down a little bit better, that's great. My torso a little taller, that's great, etc. But I'm basically just playing with this. The easiest way to prioritize this, in my opinion, is to grab, sorry, I don't have it with me, is to grab like a towel and just stick it in this crease. That way, when you come through, your brain naturally prioritizes squeezing, crushing the towel, hamstring and calf, and then those muscles turn on because they feel the thing squeezing. That's awesome, okay? If we can do that to get kind of prepped for this movement, it's gonna be the best thing we can do. And pretty much all of us can gain improvement from being up this high and making this movement like this, okay? For those of us that are much more open and mobile, we can elevate just a little bit and do kind of the same thing. Tall torso, coming down on a block of books, getting as straight as we can, getting hamstring and calf as close as possible, okay? I'm still kind of trying to replicate all of the same things. So what I want you guys to do is start perhaps elevated somewhat high. If you can't, a couple books is fine. Let's grab that towel and let's go through, it's probably too high, Dana. And let's go through, that's okay, just a couple of books is gonna be totally fine. Nice, Chris, that's gonna be perfect. Yes. All right, beautiful. So we're gonna do about 8 per side, and I do want you to just kind of slowly adhere to, or subtly adhere to, that 3-3-1 tempo. So just coming down for 3 full seconds, squeezing calf and hamstring against the towel, right? Squeeze into it, let your ankle come up or let your heel come up if you have to, and keep your torso really tall, okay? Don't stress the tempo too much. I just want you guys to go really slow and hold in the bottom for a bit, okay? If you have like a wall or something next to you that you can kind of support yourself on, that's great. How much can we squeeze hamstring and calf together to close the knee? And then how far can we get those knees over the toes? Beautiful. In that 3-second hold, when you're in that position, then I also want you to prioritize or think about getting your torso even taller. So we're not hinging forward towards our knee. We're actually keeping an erect torso. And you're going to naturally feel a huge hip flexor, quad stretch in the front of that back leg. Straighten that back leg out. Find that deep stretch on the back leg, the front of the back leg. Chris, you're looking good. Take your time.
This is painful.
Where are you finding pain? On the front of the back leg?
Yes.
Cool. So push down into the floor. Yikes. Push down into the floor and stay active through that leg, squeezing your glute, and come through slowly, respecting that that's your limiter, right? Like you're not having limitations in the knee, you're having limitations in the hip extension, back leg. So respect those and make that the priority that you're trying to improve. Make that the thing you're trying to improve. Okay, you'll do about 8 and then we'll switch to the other side. Hefe, we good?
Sorry, I got a Girl Scout cookie delivery.
Nice.
During my
That's
workout.
fucking awesome. Oh, it's so good. I love it. All right, come join us. We're gonna go through a couple of these. I may actually just end this with you guys here at the knee over toe split squat. This is the most important thing for the day. The rest of it's not. So, Jeff, if you can on your bed, if it's not too high, what I was having them do when you were gone is just really prioritizing this knees over toes and the hamstring and calf together for the split squat. Okay.
I have my ottoman.
Perfect. Use your ottoman. And essentially just get into the deepest position you can. If that means you've got to come up with your heel, that's great. Torso stays tall, back leg stays straight, and everything is really stretching out. You're getting deep into the nooks and crannies here.
Do you want to know why I was in so much pain? Because my back leg wasn't far enough back.
Okay.
Makes a big difference.
Let me see. So now your back leg is further back and that's less painful for you?
Yes.
Okay, your torso's looking like it's coming forward though. So make sure that that stays up. Yep. And then I would even rotate a little bit hip-wise towards your left. Not torso, but hip.
That felt
Yeah,
better.
so good. All of us, that is a desired aspect here, right? I'm trying to load your hip flexors in that long stretched out position, okay? They don't often get there, so many of us will have angry hip flexors. Stay in tension, T-E-N-S-I-O-N, tension with those muscles. Good, Natalie, just make sure you keep coming up tall on your torso, squeezing your butt cheeks. So as you guys move forward, stay vertical from hips to shoulder to head, right? Stay up taller. And then on the next one, maybe even don't go as deep into it, but stay more erect, to stay more vertical with your torso. So Dana, taller with your torso, squeeze your glutes. Yes, keep that nice and tall. You're not gonna go as low, but it's gonna be better. Good, you'll feel a big stretching on that back leg. Yes, beautiful. And then kind of kick into the floor, no movement, but provide tension into the ground with that back leg so that the muscles stay taut. Very good. Okay, does everyone feel like they kind of understand this movement? It is complex.
There's lots of stretching.
There's lots of stretching, yes.
happening.
Cool. So one of the great things that we can do with strength training is essentially provide some sort of joint stability with tension. Okay, so let's look at something really simple like an RDL, a Romanian or stiff-legged, straight-legged deadlift, right? Many of us, not all of us, but many of us will like test our hamstrings and be like, oh, they're so tight. And then we'll put a barbell in our hands and have a load. And then all of a sudden we're like, yeah, it's tight, but like I can go deeper into this stretch because you're tensed up and you're loaded and your joints basically feel that tension and feel support and offer you more in that position. Has anyone experienced that? Do you know what I'm talking about? It just feels like it adds to your stretching. But now what we're doing is training the stretch to not be a passive, like falling into a position. You're actually loading the tissues under tension and bringing yourself into a better position. This is kind of like the simplest way to get stronger and more mobile at the same time. It's not just passive stretching, it's actively loading an end range position, a deep stretch. So this knee over toe split squat is literally, it's the greatest thing ever. It's amazing, okay? We're loading the quads, we're getting a huge knee bend, we're loading the hip flexors on the other side, and we're also just like loading a general strength split squat movement, right? And then we're loading the calf and the dorsiflexion, like the whole system of things we need in the legs for better movement is getting loaded and stretched out to its end range in one movement. So I just want to make it clear for this, everyone's going to have different positions and different things to get this movement the most advantageous for them in the current moment. Some of you guys need to go up really high. Some of you guys can go all the way to the ground. Just know what you're looking for. You're looking to get all those things stronger and stretched out into the nooks and crannies.
And the strength is being able to get there and to hold.
Yeah, the strength is basically just the fact that you're loading this position, right? So yes, the answer is yes, Chris. when you're coming into this, if we're thinking about here, for most of us, this is the limitation, right? We're feeling a huge stretch. This isn't really passive if I stay erect because I've got the weight of my body going into the ground, right? Whereas this is passive. I'm not actively doing anything here. I'm just pulling myself into that same stretch. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I'm loading the stretch versus just like stretching the stretch.
Yeah.
And if you can push your toes into the floor even more, that's even more force. Even though it's an immovable object, your foot's against the floor. If you could imagine the floor being like a machine, you're like, oh, trying to move the floor. It's the same thing, right? That's a force on the muscle. That's a contraction, just like doing an exercise on a machine. Make sense?
It does.
Cool. Okay, sweet. Before I let you go, anyone have any questions, things we want to chat about, comments, concerns? How are you feeling?
No, I feel really good. On a very unrelated note, you're helping me pass my nutrition class with everything that you've taught me for the past 2 years. I'm like acing my nutrition class. I'm not
Oh,
even
amazing. That's kind of weird though. Be careful with that because your nutrition class might go against some of the things that I teach. What are you taking?
So far, it's exactly what you taught. Like, our project is to track 3 days of our eating. I'm like, I already track my food every day. So it's, I
Nice.
don't know. It's pretty
Nice.
bizarre. Just, I don't know. It's pretty bizarre. So thank you.
You're welcome. That's awesome. I love to hear it. Most nutrition courses are kind of the opposite, and they're all talking about like the really complex, like this for the Krebs cycle and ATC, whatever, ATCP. Yeah, ATP. Thank you, CP. They're talking about all those things.
So far,
Acronyms, who
no.
cares, man?
Don't jinx me. So far, no.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, sweet. Let's see, what else was I gonna leave you with? Oh, okay, so unofficially, however, this is being recorded, so this is quite official. I'm gonna start the next challenge, we're hoping, we're praying, on March 7th. I know that's around many of the housemates' birthdays, because I have a bunch of Pisces and Tauruses in here.
After mine. It's after mine, so I don't
That's after
care.
mine too. So we're good.
Nice. Okay, sweet. So that's gonna be like our start date, hopefully, and then we'll do a 21-day challenge. This is gonna be just like before. However, now I have like real objective metrics on all your shit. So you're gonna have to link your FitnessPal and track your calories every single day. I'm gonna be able to see who does it, who doesn't. Oh, sorry. And what, Dana?
Oh, I track every day, but I use a different app and it doesn't link. So
Okay, we can figure that out. That's okay. There's a couple of things, since it's so subjective in nature, right? It's still like, if I was just having you track every day and I was going based off of like who tracked every day, you could lie. I don't think anyone's gonna do that, but you could, right? You could just put in stuff and say like, I did it. So then I also have the before and afters, because if you're doing the right stuff, you should have a difference visibly in the before and afters. We're also gonna track consistency in workouts, just showing up to things, and then extra pop-up challenges that I have you guys go through, just participation, whatever else. The entire purpose of this is to get us re-excited, revamped, and kind of in a little sprint of like, I'm doing my best for 21 days and then, kind of easing off. But for new people, it's the same thing that I had for you guys originally, right? It's like, yo, let's just take 21 days. It's a small amount of time, and let's really dig into like being the best we can possibly be, and then slowly build up these habits so that they become us, which, Jeff, you are the perfect testament to this.
21 days to make a new person, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Then
It's more
two-
so just
2 years later.
opening the door.
But I mean,
Exactly.
it really does take about 3 weeks to make or break a habit. Like, if you're going to quit smoking, if you're going to, quit drinking, like after 3 weeks, it is kind of like your new thing. So it makes sense that this,
Yeah.
Psychologically, like you're making a huge change in 3 weeks, even if like what you really thought you were going to be doing is like losing substantial weight in 3 weeks.
Yeah. What I find more often than not is just that 3 weeks is a small amount of time for people who are hesitant to commit to some big thing to be like, that's fine, I can commit to something aggressive for 21 days. But the reality is 21 days doesn't mean shit for a habit. You could easily just bow out of anything you're doing for 21 days, right? But if you go through this experience, which is my hope, and find, wow, okay, cool. I just like did A+ effort for 21 days. I could do B+ effort for like the rest of my life and be way better off. right?
Let's say C plus maybe.
Yeah, but C plus doesn't get you 50 pounds overweight and like really upset about your situation, right?
No.
That's like F.
Yeah.
So if we can get you from F to C plus, we're still doing a phenomenal job.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, friends, have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Thank you so much for joining me live. And seriously, your feedback is huge because I can only guess how you're feeling about these things. So let me know as we continue on. It is my desire to make these things as great as possible in all ways.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. And also, Gunther, I just want to say, like, I know, like, you always apologize for, like, talking so much, but honestly, like, it's really helpful to understand the why. I mean, at least for me, I really like
Good.
knowing why we like things, because it also helps make sense, like in the movement too, like what.
Perfect.
I was
Good.
gonna
I
say
don't-
the same thing in this work.
I
Great.
agree. 100%.
Amazing.
also,
Thank you so
like,
much
we're-
for letting me know.
We pay you for your advice and your expertise. Apologize for giving it to us.
I don't know like where the line is, you know? If I go too deep into things, this happens with Nikki often. I like get excited and I tell her stuff and then I see her glazing over and I'm like, oh shit, I said something that lost you 10 minutes ago. This is not good. I just want to make sure I don't do that to you guys. It has to be digestible. But I appreciate it. Thank you. I'll keep explaining things because I think it's really important for you guys to understand this. And if we could teach this from a young age, it would behoove everyone. Just like understand body mechanics a little bit better. So yes, that's the mission. That's what we're gonna do. All right, have a wonderful rest of your day and I'll see you guys sometime next week.
Hey, bye guys.
Bye, guys.